Elite Force brings a lot of new content to the game, as well as improvements to what was already there. It's kind of the de facto best experience. If this mod had more maps and a few more changes, it could almost be considered SWAT 5. I've already done a video about its AI, along with a video about SWAT 4's weapons, so it only makes sense that this should be the next in line. Elite Force, how do the weapons work? Here are our categories and a brief explanation of what they mean. Weight and bulk can also be thought of as strength and carrying capacity. Just because you're strong enough to carry all these items doesn't necessarily mean you have enough inventory space to carry it all, and inversely, just because you have enough inventory space to carry it all doesn't necessarily mean you're strong enough to carry all of it. Range. Range doesn't really matter in this game. Every single lethal weapon has a range of 4,000. It really only affects the tasers, and we're not talking about the tasers in this video, so not even something worth worrying about. Muzzle velocity. This is another kind of anomaly or superfluous system that I don't fully understand. The only thing changing muzzle velocity values has ever done for me is when I did it to the beanbag shotgun, and it made it to where no matter how hard I tried, I couldn't kill anybody with it anymore. It has not affected the other weapons in any way. So, another one maybe not to worry about too much. Large and small aim error recovery rate. Now, when you're firing or moving or, whatever, and your accuracy starts to decrease, these two numbers are the rates at which it will start to go back to its best possible value. When it's all the way out and it starts coming in, that is the large aim error recovery rate. When it starts to get closer to the middle and you'll see it slow down, that is the small error recovery rate. Very important for all the weapons, so the higher the value, the better it is. Crouching and standing aim error, simple enough. It is the inaccuracy penalty that is applied to you whether you're standing or crouching. Walking running aim error, exact same thing, just with walking and running. Injured, max injured aim penalty. Fairly self-explanatory. When you get shot in the arm, depending on how bad it is, you'll get your injured penalty. Get shot in both arms, you're going to start getting much worse penalties. The max penalty is how bad it can possibly get. Semi-auto recoil, obvious enough, that's how much your weapon will climb when firing your gun in semi-auto. Auto base, burst base, and per shot recoil. Oddly enough in this game, the first shot that you fire in full auto mode does not have the same amount of recoil as the single shot you fire in semi-auto mode. So some weapons have a lower auto base recoil than they do a semi-auto base recoil, which means if you can click the mouse quickly enough, it is actually more accurate to try and fire single shots in full auto mode than it is to just fire semi-automatic shots. The shotguns in this game, let alone the mod, are not great. Well, not even good. You have to be fairly close to somebody to be able to even somewhat reliably hit them. When you're rocking the M1 Super or the M870 and you blast someone 5 times and they're still moving, it is terrifying to have to go through the painfully slow animation to reload even a single shell. Which is kind of funny because the M1 Super and the M870 are actually the best shotguns in the game. Neither the M4 Super or the Nova won even a single category, except for the M4 tying the M1 and M870 for the best recoil, and the fact that they carry 7 rounds in the tube as compared to the others' 5. If you're using a shotgun in this game for anything other than breaching doors, you're either crazy, don't realize that every other weapon is infinitely better, or you're an extremely aggressive player that is always close enough to their target to make it to where a shotgun is even slightly viable. Final verdict, the M1 Super 90 is the best possible shotgun in the game, or in other words, the best of the worst. Marksman Rifles seem very out of place to me in this game. There has never been a time where an enemy was too far away to be able to see them and fire at them accurately, and I only play on a 23.6-inch 1080p monitor. I genuinely can't think of a single scenario aside from a custom map where a scope would even be appropriate, let alone practical. But just because I can't think of one doesn't mean there isn't one, so let's go over them. The CR6720 and HK33A2 are fairly close in stats, but the HK33 pretty obviously takes the win here. Not only in stats, but also in versatility. The HK33 Marksman Rifle is, quite literally, the exact same gun as the HK33 Assault Rifle, just with a scope. And having the burst and full auto options, along with its Assault Rifle jack-of-all-trades consistency, there just isn't any competition between these two. Final verdict, HK-33A2 is the best possible, if impractical, marksman rifle in the game, no contest. There's actually a fair bit of variation in the assault rifles in terms of situational application. You have the ultra-accurate but slow as hell FAL, the light but beefy AK-74U, and the M4A1 workhorse. Oddly enough, and I never would have guessed this even though I've used both weapons almost exclusively, the M4A1 and SCAR-H are basically the exact same gun. The only difference between them is that the SCAR-H is a 7.62 caliber and holds 20 rounds, whereas the M4A1 fires a 2.23 and holds 30, which makes the fact that they have the same recoil even stranger. Maybe this is an oversight by the mod's developer, or maybe he thought more stopping power but less ammo was enough of a difference between the guns to keep their core stats the same. Regardless, final verdict, the M4A1 and SCAR-H are the best possible assault rifles in the game, though I personally prefer the M4A1. The light machine guns, machine gun, this thing is really just a novelty weapon. Its accuracy is too low to be practical, it holds way more ammo than you'd ever need, the aim error recovery rate is abysmal, and it has the worst max injury accuracy penalty in the game. There's not much else to say about this thing except the only time I'd imagine you'd be using it is during a custom map or mission where you're just trying to have fun and screw around. Final verdict, the M249 is the best light machine gun you can get in the game, but only because it is the only light machine gun you can get in the game. I hate the submachine guns with a passion. Not because of how they perform, not because they're useless, but because in the SEF mod, the MP5 variants are not clearly marked and there's like 10 of them. So I basically had to guess which stats in the code went to which MP5. I'm satisfied enough with my guesswork to include them in the spreadsheet, but take it with a pinch of salt and just know that even if I did mix up one or more of them, they're really not different enough for it to make a big deal. However, if you discover that I did mix one of them up and have appropriate enough proof, let me know and I'll correct the spreadsheet and be sure to credit you. But at the end of the day, or at least at this point in the recording, I am standing by my choices, and am claiming that these numbers are accurate. At least I hope so, because one of them is actually the best SMG. Oh, notice that red cell with an X? Yeah, the mod developer left that value out of the code. I can only plug in the data that I have available to me, and that specific data was not available to me. Just wait till we get to the machine pistols. It gets worse. Anyways, the P90 sucks. It has the best crouching and standing aim errors, the best walking and running aim errors, the best recoil, and by far holds the most bullets. However, the only victory it holds is in being awful. Not only does it take way too many bullets to bring anyone down, it is also the weirdest looking and by far the most annoying weapon I've ever heard in my entire life. Seriously, listen to this. 5.7 by 38mm nails on a 50-round chalkboard. Lucky us, it's the MP5K A4 PDW that wins for the SMGs. Its middling stopping power is boosted by the fact that it's easy to control and fairly accurate, while being a very fast CQB weapon, which is pretty much exactly what you'd want in an SMG. Final verdict, the MP5K A4 PDW is the best submachine gun in the game. Machine pistols. Look at that freaking chart. Where are all of those values? Seriously asking, because they do not exist in the game's files. The machine pistol's extreme lack of data genuinely makes it impossible for me to give a final verdict using the game's data, which is what these videos are supposed to be about. I don't just say, hey, I like this gun, so that means it's the best. No, this video uses the actual math, the actual numbers, to show the definitive best weapon. With that said, I guess we're just moving on. This class of weapons is my favorite. Not because I enjoy using the pistols in game, I rarely do, but because of the huge variety we have in the data. There's so many things to consider. Does high stopping power but very low ammo really come out as better than low stopping power but plenty of ammo? Does slow fire rate but decent stopping power and average ammo take the win since it's technically the most balanced? Or does the extreme variation in data actually invalidate the data and become nothing more than personal preference? Can the Python really be considered better than the Desert Eagle? Can the Glock 17 really be considered better than the XDM? This one is for you. Let me know in the comments below which one you think is actually the best and why. We'll see if we can't get a community poll of which one truly is the best. Well, I guess that wraps it up for this video. Sorry it took me so long to get this out. If there's anything else you want to see in SWAT 4, or pretty much any other game, just let me know and I'll see if I can't figure it out. As always, if you like the video, please show it by leaving a like on it, and if you like this style of content and you want to see more of it, subscribe to the channel. This is Mitchell Godsend. Have a good one.